Good morning, everyone. Pretty good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are we excited? I'm excited. This is the first moments of our annual Education Innovation Lab, and just incredibly delighted to be here with all of you. Thrilled that Chris William could open for us this morning. We have several board members with us today. Also, Easter Maynard is here, Bob Barnhill, and Emeritus Board Member Ann Goodnight, who has already been recognized. And I also want to recognize this meeting space and that you've hosted us for all of these many years. When people walk through the door, I just talked with one of our esteemed principals and how great this space is. This space is worthy of these conversations, right? We deserve to have education conversations in spaces like this. And I'm so grateful that SAS has seen that for all of these years. I also want to acknowledge we have several elected officials with us. We have Senator Galey, Representative Lofton, Representative Torbett, Representative Ryan, Representative Blackwell, Representative Clark, Representative Ball, and we have many others who will be joining us over the course of the day, culminating in a special breakout session with policymakers later in the afternoon. So thank you all for your dedication. And Chris acknowledged the many others, right? The teachers of the year, the principals of the year. We have friends from the business community, friends from research community. I see some longstanding RTI folks who have been here from year one. So thank you all for being here. The reason why we do this is because North Carolina has a history of education innovation, and that is the core tenet of Best NC's work in creating opportunities for people to congregate around bold ideas. That is the root of the Education Innovation Lab. Over the years, this lab has helped us think differently about a wide range of education topics, including teacher recruitment, school leadership, and what high expectations look like for students. We are proud that this lab has become a place where people who don't normally have the opportunity to sit together can sit around this very large table in our breakout sessions to have these conversations. Together, across a dozen education innovation labs, we have celebrated significant wins and identified key barriers to student success and teacher experience, which have led to numerous policies and programs that have had real, tangible impact for North Carolina and are even inspiring other states. Great examples are the North Carolina Principal Fellows Program, the Advanced Teaching Roles Initiative, and Teach NC, to name just a few. One example I love is that just before March of 2020, we started convening a conversation around teacher recruitment. That conversation went for over 2 years, and we called it NC Stride. We had teachers, principals, EPP programs, policymakers come together, and even through conversations about laptops and ESSER funds, we were able to really focus on teacher recruitment and come up with the NC Stride teacher recruitment strategy roadmap. And in that roadmap, we identified teacher apprenticeship as one of the 5 key priorities for teacher recruitment. That came full circle last year at our Innovation Lab, where we celebrated a decade of educator innovation, and we launched our teacher apprenticeship brief that had spun out of NC Stride. And if you haven't seen it, there are some extra copies up at the front desk. Within 2 months of the Innovation Lab, Teach Ready NC, not named that at the time, was found in both the House and the Senate budgets. And in a year where it was hard to find agreement on much of anything, it was really profound to see that everyone was agreeing that we need a better path for teachers who are coming in emergency license. So again, if you haven't read up on Teach Ready NC, we encourage you to do that. So this isn't just a conference. As many of you know who've been here year after year, this is an annual opportunity for North Carolina's education stakeholders to roll up their sleeves and, as my team likes to say, get stuff done. This brings us to this year's topic. I heard some giggles over there. This year's topic is tailored learning. When we embarked on this idea, when we started sort of bringing this around to our friends and family policymakers, we asked, is this a topic that we should cover? And it was interesting because the answer was a unanimous yes. Yes, we really need to have this conversation. And the reason was that we've been talking about competency-based learning, project-based learning, all of these ideas for literally decades, and it feels like we have lost the thread on the conversation. And more importantly, as I just demonstrated, we don't really have a common language for it, right? We hear competency-based learning, mastery-based learning, personalized learning, proficiency, standard-based education, outcomes-based education, skills-based education, and so on and so forth. So that's why our team put together, and our planning team put together, tailored learning. We really feel like that captures what we're trying to say, captures the fact that we're trying to tailor learning to the individual needs of each student and the skills of each teacher. So we're united today. When we say tailored learning, we mean all of those things. So let's visualize the problem, because that's what we like to do, thanks to Zach Hodges, who's sitting in the front row, and for 10 years has created storylines such as the one you're about to see. So when we think of the traditional education system, it's like a map, right? It's a typical two-dimensional map. And on this map, it's a journey of getting from point A to point B, right? And this map, that's what it tells. It tells a teacher, how do you get from point A to point B? And it assumes a lot. It assumes that all of those children in the classroom are sitting at point A. And of course, every teacher, every principal, every student knows that not all students are hovering around point A. Some haven't made it to point A. Some are past point B, and many are somewhere in between. Which means that teachers have to spend time figuring out where their students are, and how do we navigate a two-dimensional map that doesn't really reflect the topography or the barriers facing the students on their journeys. So what if there's a way to give teachers, students, families the tools to an entirely different view and set unique paths for each student, identifying where they are in their journey, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses, where they need support, and help them on a new path to get to their destiny. Tailored learning can revolutionize the way we think about proficiency and mastery, but only if teachers can do three things: figure out where the students are, figure out where they're going, and identify the barriers that are on their way. Yes, that's an oversimplification. But right now we are oversimplifying. We're doing everything based on averages. We have age-based grade levels. We have standard pacing guides. We have uniform semester timelines. We have credits earned by time, not by mastery. And the list goes on. And we know, there's one thing we know, there are no students who are average. Students do not learn at the same pace. So research right here in North Carolina really doubles down on the fact that subjective placement of students and age-based determinations really aren't working for kids. The TNTP's Opportunity Myth, if you haven't read it, it's fantastic. This research was done right here in North Carolina and found that a typical classroom has 3 to 5 grade levels represented in that one classroom. The teacher is teaching to 3 to 5 grade levels worth of students. And then our research that led to the auto-enrollment policy in North Carolina found that thousands of students, because of subjective placement, were not being placed in the advanced courses that, frankly, they had earned placement to. So this demonstrates we really have a need to think differently about not just how we're placing students, but how students are thriving in our classrooms. And there's a national dialogue about tailored learning. In 2009, only a handful of